Hello, and welcome to today's author webinar. Thank you for joining us. I'm Shrudevi, and I'm part of the Learning and Content Management team. Joining me are my colleagues Arun, Deepak, Robin, Shrikant, Hema, and Aparna. Before we begin, a few housekeeping items. If you have a question at any time during the content of the session, please use the Q&A option to send your questions directly to us. We will try to answer as many questions as possible during the session today. If you cannot answer all the questions, we will reply to you directly after the session unless you post a question anonymously. We will also cover some of the questions at the end of the session. For the best view, you may wish to drag the central bar on your screen to the right to enlarge the screen that we are sharing, and you may also wish to enable live transcripts via the bar on the bottom of your screen. Now let's take a look at our agenda for today. Our session today aims to give you all the information you need to successfully submit a LaTeX file to Editorial Manager, and it brings us great pleasure to inform you that this is our first webinar focusing on LaTeX. In the agenda today, we have Introduction to LaTeX, Preferred Templates, submitting a LaTeX file in Editorial Manager. There's going to be a demo where we will see how to upload a file and how are we going to process the submission. And at the end, we'll also cover the useful links, a couple of links that we really wanted to share with you today. Introduction to LaTeX. LaTeX is a software for typesetting documents for high quality typesetting. It is most often used for medium to large technical or scientific document. Typesetting and the LaTeX features would include typesetting journal articles, technical reports, books, and slide presentations. This also includes the typesetting of complex mathematical formulas, automatic generation of bibliographies and indexes, and control over large documents containing sectioning, cross-reference, tables, and figures. Looking at the preferred templates, we have the CTAN packages, ELS article that was first developed and released in 2007 under LaTeX Project Public License. BibTeX style files, this was for 10 different typeset models, and ELS CAS templates, again for the journal articles in complex article service. We asked your question during the registration, and because there were so many interesting topics that we got as a response from you, we had tried to include as many as possible this time. And the rest of the topics that we have received from you, we will try to include them in the future webinar. Thank you. And I'm going to take you through the LaTeX instructions shortly. Right. So apologies for the delay. So we thought we would first take you through the LaTeX instructions available on elsevier.com for authors under policies and guidelines. The Comprehensive Tech Archive Network, CTAN, is used for the software's primary distribution. To download the complete package, please click on CTAN, and you can download the package via the download option here. And once you have downloaded this, for detailed instructions on how to complete the template, you can click on the ELS article documentation that's available in this page. And this is how it looks. So you will have options to navigate through, based on what exactly would you like to see. For example, if you have any questions regarding, the mathematical symbol or formula, then you can probably go ahead and view that on the screen. And for any queries related to the template, in this template as such, you can contact ELS article at stmdocs.in. And this is again for any queries that you might have in the template. Coming back to the LaTeX instructions. So we have single and double column class files available for complex articles. And you can get the zip file by clicking on ELS CAS template.zip. We're also working on further simplifying the instructions on this page to make it easier for you. Right. So we'll now we're now going to see a live demo on how to upload the completed text file, considering the fact that you have downloaded the template and you have followed the instructions in the ELS article documentation. So we'll see how to upload the file as such to Editorial Manager. And I have a training site for demo here. Now this might look different from your original view, but please keep in mind that this is a training site and we have been using dummy articles and dummy submission details here, right? So in general, to log into Editorial Manager, you can click on Submit New Manuscript. And before this step, you will be selecting the appropriate article type. For initial submission, most of the journal will allow you to submit the manuscript as PDF by selecting manuscript as the item type. And in case of revised manuscripts in the attached file stage, you can add the text file as an attachment to your submission by selecting revised manuscripts. I also have an example for a revised submission, which I want to show here. So in case of revised manuscript, you can select the relevant article type here. So at this stage, please ensure that you upload any necessary support files, including bib.sty under the manuscript or revised manuscript item types here. So depending on the options that you have in the drop-down and based on the submission, you could choose the relevant options here. Figures and graphics should be tagged as figure item types. Now, in the screen, you can attach a file from your computer by dragging and dropping it, or you can also click on Browse to browse your computer's file list. Do not refer to a site where your files are stored in the text file. The path will not be recognized by the system, resulting in an error. Please note, while Overleaf might recognize the comment, Editorial Manager cannot process LaTeX submissions in folders with a specific file path. So it cannot find files referenced from a folder. Please include the file's unique archive identifier if you have them stored on the archive system. Please ensure to select the appropriate file type is selected in these drop-downs as we have discussed before. Coming to these subfolders, do not include any subfolders in your submission, as Editorial Manager cannot process LaTeX submissions that contain subfolders. All submission files, including figures, tables, style, and bibliography files, must be kept in the same folder. Clicking on Proceed will allow you to provide additional information, and after completed, you can click Build PDF for approval. Your submission's PDF will be created. To view the PDF, you can click the View Submission option once you have proceeded, and to upload, maybe we can just try that as well, and to upload that submission, you can go ahead and find the necessary details. Now, once you have the view submission, and if that generates an error, I have also taken a screenshot of those errors to show you how those errors would look. And we'll also go through a couple of errors and how would we find more information on these errors, for which I'm going to go ahead and share my PowerPoint again. Right, Chandni, do you see my PowerPoint?
Yes, Shri, all fine.
Perfect, thanks. So as I said, there are chances that the PDF may result in error at times, and these are such examples that I wanted to show you. So if the generated PDF displays the error code as we see now, instead of the manuscript text, we have a dedicated page, the dedicated FAQ page created for LaTeX, and I'll be showing that to you in a minute. Okay. So we have created a FAQ page exclusively for LaTeX users, which would go ahead and explain you the questions that is be there and also how to troubleshoot them. So for example, if there is an error while uploading a file in the compressed zip or the RAR format, we also have answers. So if you could click on the plus icon, that would show you the answers that we have added. So similarly, we have many questions updated here. And we also have a video that we have created on how to submit a LaTeX file in Editorial Manager. So you can also go ahead and view the video here. Okay. So coming to the useful links, as you know, I presented that today. So we have submitting a LaTeX, and also we have the video guide exclusively for the FAQ. Thank you. Right. So while we saw the errors and how to troubleshoot it in our new FAQ page and also the video details, but still there could be specific scenarios where you're not able to troubleshoot the error. So in those cases where you're not able to identify or you're not able to proceed with those error information, then you can click on the question mark logo here, and you can go ahead and click on Chat with Elsevier Support. Clicking on Chat with Elsevier Support will allow you to go ahead and chat with one of our customer service representative. You can also choose the email option here, where you can go ahead and send them an email on the question as such. So agent will go ahead and pick those questions and will get back to you soon with a response. Yeah. Thank you so much for listening to the content of today's session. We hope you found it useful. And I'm going to come back to my PowerPoint. We're now going to spend a few moments looking at some of the questions raised in today's session. I know that the content was in detail to show you what kind of templates do we have and how does it look. And I'll now hand back to Deepak. We're also trying to answer as many questions as possible during the session today in the Q&A channel. And yeah, if we cannot answer them, we will reply to you directly. Please take a short moment to complete the short poll that will appear on your screen before you could leave. Your answers will help us deliver more webinars like this. Over to you, Deepak.
Thank you, Shri. We are still answering a couple of questions from the authors. So as we are answering these questions, I would like to highlight a few of the questions that we normally receive. So one such query is when the author is trying to download the CTAN package from the website through the link which we shared earlier. Due to security issues, you might not be able to use Internet Explorer or Chrome. So in those cases, I kindly advise you to use Firefox in order to download the entire package. So that is one of the questions that was asked. And moving on to the next one, there were a lot of template related queries. So in case you would like to know more about how to fill in the information in the template, for example, you would like to use a command and you're not sure if that is being used appropriately, I kindly request you all to contact elsarticles@skmdocs.in. We've already shared the email address before, and this email address will also be available in the documentation. So please go ahead and use that. And another question that we received was, there are ample softwares available for LaTeX, and which one does Elsevier prefer? So for this, you can use the CTAN package from the Elsevier site, but in order to use a compiler, we always prefer Overleaf. That would normally give you an output. And I just want to note one thing here. Please note the EM compiler and Overleaf compiler are different. So please make sure that there are no errors when you compile in Overleaf before submitting the same source files to EM, because you may get an PDF even with errors in Overleaf, but only after all the errors are rectified, you'll be able to generate a PDF in EM. And let me take you through some of the other questions here.
Thanks, Deepak.
When the system cannot build a PDF, how can I see the error log? Right. So that whenever you submit the manuscript and go through all the submission steps, in the end, it will ask you to build PDF for approval. Once you click on that, it will take you to another screen where it will request you to view the submission first. So if you click on view submission, the PDF would be downloaded in your local system. And if you open that PDF, instead of the manuscript text, there will be a lot of error codes. For example, if your manuscript is 10 pages long, you will have error codes in all those 10 pages. You will not be able to see the text. So if an error is generated, I request you to go through the FAQs available in order to make sure all the files uploaded are in the or tagged with the right submission item, because that is a major cause of the errors. So once you are able to tag all the files in the correct submission item, you will be able to successfully generate the PDF. And even after doing everything, if you're still not able to see the PDF without errors, I request you to contact support and we'll be able to assist you further. And let me
Yes.
see if we have any other questions.
I can see a few questions on the Q&A too.
One question that we have here, which I'll answer live, is I have written my paper in Overleaf and it builds correctly there, but on your submission portal, my references are not being compiled at all. All right. So in Overleaf, when you use Elsevier's template and generate a PDF, the first thing to notice is, as I said earlier, PDF will be compiled without errors. So in those cases, we'll have to check the error log given by Overleaf also, in order to check if there are one or two errors which might have gone unnoticed. And if you find that there are no errors in Overleaf, the EM compiler also should have the supporting files needed. For example, if you have a text file and supporting files like .sty or .bib, EM compilers needs these files as well. So what you can do is tag all the source files under either manuscript or revised manuscript in order to generate the PDF without an error. And again, we have a question, what is the recommended tool for using LaTeX templates? And as I said earlier, there are a lot of tools available, but most of the authors prefer to use Overleaf. Right? And another question is, do I need to submit the LaTeX file? Couldn't I just submit a PDF file and once it's approved, I can submit the LaTeX manuscript? Right. Most of Elsevier journals has the policy of your paper, your way, where you can submit your initial submission as a PDF, and only during revision stage, we will be asking you for the source files. This is to make sure that if the manuscript is accepted, the typesetter would need the editable files. So that, and since a revised decision was made, there are chances that the manuscript would get accepted. So that is the reason we ask for the source files during the revision. Should we upload the PDF file during submission or only the LaTeX files was another question. And as I said earlier, it depends upon the journal that you are trying to submit to. Some journals will accept the PDF during the initial submission, but some journals will request for only the source files. So you can visit the guide for authors of that particular journal to understand the requirement and then proceed with your submission. And a similar question, is it possible to create manuscript in Overleaf and attach PDF during submission? Yes. As I said earlier, please refer to the guide for author. And if the journal allows you to submit the PDF, you can proceed with the PDF alone. The source files would not be required. Only during revision, we would be needing the source files. Should LaTeX paper length be less than 10 pages? We have no restrictions on how on the word count or the page count when it comes to LaTeX. It all depends on the particular journal's requirement. So again, you can refer to the guide for authors in order to see if see the journal specific requirements. So the page count or the word count will not affect your LaTeX submissions. Another question is, if the journal is not requiring LaTeX format and is welcome to accept Word, we don't have to follow, right? Yes, absolutely. It completely depends on your preference. You may choose to upload a Word file, which all journals accept. But if you have a LaTeX file, we do accept that as well.
Thanks, Deepak. I think we can keep answering the question and answers as received in the Q&A section. Thank you so much for covering so many interesting questions. So that brings us to the end of the webinar today. Thank you for listening. After the session, we will send you an email that will contain some helpful links to the recent webinar recordings and also some short video guides. So please look out for that email. Again, a gentle reminder to please take a few moments to complete the short poll that will appear on your screen before we could leave. Your answers will help us deliver more webinar like this one. Thank you so much for joining us. So Deepak, I'll wait for a few moments until we answer the questions. So Chandni or Deepak, if you could let me know if we have answered all the questions.
Sure, Shri. Let me try to go over all the questions that we have received.
Yeah, thank you. And please answer them in the Q&A there. Thanks a lot.
We have a question. I have uploaded all the files and there are no errors in overleaf. So in these cases, it might be because of the supporting files. As I informed earlier, if you have supporting files like .bib or .sty, please make sure that these files are also included along with your submission. And we need to make sure that you use the same submission item type, that is either manuscript or revised manuscript, to tag the supporting files. So once you go through that, it'll successfully compile the PDF. And another question was, during submission, I asked for manuscript without author identity. I uploaded the PDF files and LaTeX files, but I did not recognize one LaTeX file. I don't know why. If there is a limit in number of uploaded files or a problem in the file. All right. So there, as you mentioned, there are a lot of journals which follow a double-blind policy where the reviewer should not have the author details. So in those cases, we ask for a manuscript without any author details. And this main manuscript file that you are submitting can be generated the same way, just without the author details. So make sure that the text file and supporting files are generated without author details, and the same files can be uploaded here. We do not need a separate file that contains the author details. One last question that we have here is, are we required to prepare text, figures, and tables separately in overleaf, or can do in one file? It is completely up to the author's preference. You can choose to embed your figures and tables inline, but if it is not possible, you can have your manuscript file separately and your figures and tables separately as well. The one thing to notice that your main text file should be categorized under the submission item, manuscript or revised manuscript. For figures and tables, you need to use the appropriate submission item. For figures, please use figure, and for tables, please use tables.
Deepak, there's one open question in the Q&A channel.
Are not getting built on portal. I believe we
Yeah.
already answered this. So the problem might be because the supporting files, to begin with the first question, it's just that the reference are available in overleaf, the PDF generated by the overleaf, but they are not being built into the portal. So may I request you to try adding the supporting files along with the submission and tag it under the appropriate manuscript or revised manuscript submission item. And then please proceed with building your PDF. This should resolve your problem. If not, I request you to contact the support and they will be able to check in detail and get back to you.
Shri, we are done with all open questions.
Thank
So,
you, Chandni, and
yeah.
thank you, Deepak. Thank you for joining us today. See you next time.